But yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm not sure what it's about, but it looks like there is some plants that look very flesh-like. Oh, it looks like we're in prison. The warden wants to see you. Just out of curiosity, can I full screen it? Oh, there it is. Perfect. Oh, but it disappeared for... What happened? Can you guys see it? No? Okay, maybe I... Oh, now it shows up. It just took it a second. It really didn't want to show up like that. Okay, here we go. Alright, the warden wants to see you. Follow me. Alright, here we go. Delisle Correctional Institute, 1946. He's all yours, sir. You're relieved, Jeremiah. Best get home to the missus. Oh, you're relieved, Jeremiah. I didn't understand that. Best get home to the missus. Thank you, sir. I've transformed Delisle Correctional Institute from a dingy county jail to one of the top facilities in the country. Did you know that? I didn't do that just by imprisoning small-time crooks, murderers, and thieves. No, sir. Over the years, I've curated a very specific type of prisoner. Deviants. What did I do? They're not like you or me. Oh, okay. Sickos, perverts, communists, whatever you want to call them. They can't be rehabilitated because they're barely human to begin with. And the strangest part is you'd think every part of their brain is broken, but they can still feel shame. A father of 3 will try to shoot you dead if you accuse him of putting on dresses and having sex with bellboys. A well-to-do woman would stick her head in the oven before she'd admit to dalliance with the colored boy down the road. And hell, even my own mother was a goddamn suffragette, but me or Dad would have beaten the snot out of her if we found that out before she croaked on us. What? Look at this guy's mouth. What's happening? It's a difficult thing to get confessions from these freaks. Colored boy, that's me. Now, normally, when a district attorney needs a bit more time to build a case against one of these deviants, they'll rush them through the courts on some trumped-up charge, keep them in prison for a while, and hopefully buy enough time to build a case. But if they can't, Delisle Correctional Institute will get a confession for them. We've read the works of Froude, Moreno, and Watson. Who are these guys? They sound horrible. Reproduced the experiments of Pavlov and Skinner, and consulted with Wortham, Miller, and Jung. And we've distilled them all into an effective methodology that loosens the prisoner's tongue while leaving them free of the physical cuts and bruises that don't play well to judges and juries. Real humane-like. But listen to me ramble on. The reason I brought you in here is because your cellmate, Mr. Charles Keating, is one of these deviants. We've tried our best to build a psychological profile on him, find a proper plan of attack, but Mr. Keating managed to run out the clock on us. Mr. Keating will have served his sentence as of midnight tonight, unless we get a confession in the next few hours. I want you to read these documents from the U.S. Attorney's Office. If you believe anything in these documents can be used to get a confession out of Mr. Keating, we need to know. In return, if you merely read these documents, even if you don't find anything, we'll consider your sentence served. I know it sounds too good to be true. Anything you can tell us might be the key to keeping this monster behind bars. He doesn't fit into the world. He belongs with me. Okay, so we have a little bus van, some plants, some like biology. Yeah, this warden sounds horrible. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a weird greenhouse farm. Recording dated February 12th, 1942. Hello? Dr. Petrov. I'm sorry for the call. The bus trip is taking a bit longer than I was expecting, but I should be there in just a couple more days. That's fine. I'm still setting up the lab, and most of my supply shipments will be arriving late as well. You should be in town just in time to help me get everything up and running. Phew, good. Is there anything I should brush up on before I get to the lab? The fact that they don't have any teeth is kind of like freaking me out, but it's fine. He doesn't fit into this world. He belongs with me still. I managed to grab a decent selection of medical journals while I was in Boston. Plant cellular structure. What? The nature of the work we'll be doing is a bit cross-disciplinary. I trust your medical knowledge is up to date, but I need to make sure you've brushed up on some of the basics of botany. I suppose I could visit a bookstore while we're at a stop. A newsstand should have some periodicals. No need for latest journals, Mr. Keating. You don't need to know the latest scientific learnings, but you should be able to write and illustrate a grade school textbook on basic plant biology with your eyes closed before you get here. I'll make sure to study hard on the trip over. Good lad. And if you could bring a tin of real coffee, I'd appreciate it. We're down to the stuff cut with chicory down here. I'll try my best, sir. I'll see you in a few days. Click. Oh, I forgot to ask if it was alright for me to record the call. Tape shut off, okay? What's this? Dearest Mother, the bus trip was a bit longer and more uncomfortable than I was expecting, but I should be in Alabama within a few days. I called Dr. Petrov's office, and he assures me his facility is a few hours outside Fayette? So I'm not as far from civilization as I feared. I may have to forego the nightly edition of the paper, but we all must make deep sacrifices in times of war. Please remind Father that Dr. Petrov's work is being funded by the U.S. Army, and although I won't exactly be one of the tough sobs marching into Hirohito's palace, I'll be an active contributor to the war effort. Besides, if I were a service member, the letters I send you would look like Swiss cheese, and we don't want to exacerbate your lactose intolerance. I hope this letter finds you in better spirits than when I left, and in worse spirits than when I'm there. Your loving son, Charles. Okay. So Charles is our roommate, right? Science is a poor pursuit for young men. Too much infatuation with the new and novel, with no room to appreciate the refuge of tradition. Quite frankly, Mr. Keating should have seen what was coming next. Oh? Look at this! It's got toes growing out of it. And pubes. Interesting. March 8th, this is subject 42 FA5. It's time for her meal. What is that? What is this? It seems to be able to sense when the fly is near, but further experimentation will be needed to determine how. Notice here she swallows the fly whole, crushing it inside of its stomach. Once it starts growing teeth in a few days, she'll switch to chewing as it conserves a bit more energy. Uh-huh. What is that? Recording dated March 3rd, 1942. There, we're recording now. I don't want to be recorded. Now what the hell did you get me involved with, Dr. Petrov? It's a flower, Charles. It has teeth. Yes, the teeth were unexpected, but look how evenly they grew in. The dentistry isn't the issue, Dr. Petrov. What you're doing is unethical. How exactly is it unethical? I want a plant with teeth. You ripped apart a living, breathing thing to make... Mr. Keating, this isn't a butcher's shop. I'm not hacking and stitching animals together like cheap circus attractions. I grew this flower from a blastocyst. I fertilized the egg by needle injection in my lab. What do you mean, grew? Before it reaches the embryonic stage, you can count the number of cells inside the blastocyst by hand. If you had an expensive microscope, a small needle, and lots of time, you can even identify with each of those individual cells, what each of those individual cells would grow in and divide into. So I take those individual cells, and instead of letting it grow into a monkey, I manually remove what I don't want it to grow and rearrange what I do want to grow. But why turn it into that? You read those botany books like I told you to, yes? Yes. Very simple structures, aren't they? Most of the plant is made of the same type of cell. No complicated organ systems, no skeletal structure, no need for a centralized brain. If I took these pre-embryonic masses of cells and just rearranged them willy-nilly, I'd create thousands of malformed failures before I stumbled on a useful form. So instead, I used plant structures as a basis to rearrange the cells, and the results have been astounding. Just a few rows of my pseudo-plant cell design, and it not only maintains the structure, but continues growing it naturally, like animal cells can remember their plant roots. Pardon the pun, of course. But you're missing the point. You're not growing a new life, you're forcing something to suffer from its own birth. They don't suffer, Charles. I've been analyzing their brain patterns. They use so little energy to grow, their brains default to a dream state, a calm, peaceful sleep. And then we'll be killing them for their meat? Yes, but someday I'll design them to grow as large as trees, shedding meat like apples off their branches, living for hundreds of years. A forest of these trees will negate the need to raise animals for slaughter, ending a 10,000-year genocide of innocent creatures. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel. I already bought a plot of land a bit further north for when I'm ready to grow them. I thought it would take decades for me to make something like this, but then I found you. I've read your paper on atypical embryonal development, and it felt like a practical extension of my own work on the teratology of plants and animals. That paper was on birth defects, Petrov. I can't do that to animals on purpose. What's evolution if not a series of beneficial birth defects? What would take 1,000 generations and dead ends to spontaneously develop, we could grow overnight. While other scientists are trying to fix the problems nature gave us, we'll design a sustainable future for the planet. If it sheds meat, you'd eat it? I don't know. That sounds so weird. Well, it should be a future without biting flowers, at least. But maybe you could isolate the stomach and rearrange the structure like a Venus flytrap. A Venus flytrap? See, I'm glad I recorded that because I am out of pen ink. Tape shut off. But Venus flytraps don't have stomachs. Venus flytraps just exude like a liquid that liquefies the inside of the bugs, and then it sucks out all the internal organs of the bugs through their eyeballs, and then like absorbs it. They do now. Let's see what this says. Dear Aunt Sonia, happy birthday. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person this year, but I hope my package arrived in time for the party. Work has been busier than expected. I'm sorry if my last few letters gave the impression that I can be frank about the work I'm doing, but now that the lab is fully operational and the experiments have started in earnest, I realize some self-censorship on my own part will be required. In the vaguest terms possible, my work involves supplementing the Army's diet with quick and cheap meat, but Dr. Petrov has some lofty goals for where the research could lead. I'm sorry to say that your sister's son attended college to become a glorified sausage maker, but it's not the worst place war could have taken me. That being said, Dr. Petrov is very passionate about the work we're doing. It's miles different from the lab work at Tufts College. There's a half a dozen experiments in different stages of development, and every day I'm learning something new. It's frantic and fast-paced, but energizing. It'll be a while before we're manufacturing canned meats, but I could probably trade you some jerky for your homemade fudge by next Christmas. Your loving nephew, Charles. Now, men like you or I, we would know better. When the witch in the woods welcomes you into her gingerbread house, you don't accept the invitation. You don't? You throw her in the fire. That's a thing. What is that? It has like little tentacles. Sounds hot. Okay, we got this flower. That looks weird. What's this? Oh, wow. So these are meat. They're meat plants. Recording date, August 24th. Okay, it's on. Say that again, Charles. Chimera? Haha, yes, but the whole thing, you drunk. The entire thing you said, the whole thing again. Okay. The plant animals we've been growing tend to be fairly small for a lot of reasons. We've only grown them from single rearranged blastocysts. We've only allowed them a few weeks to reach maturity. The plants can't grow faster than the animal's parts it came from would. Yes, but get to the important part. Okay, so our experiments with grafting have been failures, but instead of trying to graft during adulthood, we can simply make our pre-embryonic blueprints bigger by using blastocysts. And this wouldn't result in rejection because we have well-documented cases of siblings ingesting other smaller embryos in the womb, resulting in the embryo containing cells from both siblings, chimeras. We will merely start that stage in the process even earlier and assemble larger plants. Now, that implies we can only use genetic siblings to build these plants. I assume we can't use other animals too genetically unsimilar. We could certainly experiment and find out. Dude, why is he all into this now? At first he was like against it, and now he's all like helping. I'd certainly like to see a rabbit pigeon dandelion or something. You blow in it and a bunch of seeds will fly out on rabbit ear wings. You see, inspiration can strike at any time, Charles. We could have forgotten all about this in the morning. Yes, fine. I can see the merits of your little recording device there. Oh, another idea. What if you made plant animals that interconnected with each other, like pieces of a puzzle piece? You could have one plant specifically designed to collect and refine nutrients which can feed a second plant that can just focus on growing bigger. That's a strange place to need a mouth, Charles. Wherever you'd like to put your mouth is fine to me. What was that? Oh, yes, haha, it was a little joke. Let's call it a night. Aren't you recording this by any chance? Are you? Tape shut off. What the heck? Hey, bro. Burrito plant sounds like something you'd get a Nobel Peace Prize for. Yeah. Hey, Magnolia, nice to see you. Okay, let's read this. Cousin Delisle. I've been paying extra to get the hometown paper shipped down here in Alabama, and I read that you won a blue ribbon for your peanut butter fudge at the county fair last month. You must be absolutely over the moon. I can relate to a lesser extent. As I've told you in my last correspondence, I'm finally getting the hang of the work which must be secret, and I've managed to make a breakthrough of my own. Essentially, for the past year, I've been trying to perfect Dr. Petrov's recipes. He'll make some new sort of confectionery, and when he feels like I'm ready, I'll go through the hard work of perfecting it. A little less flour here, a little more baking powder there, trying to get the ratios just right. But I finally made a recipe of my own. I hope someday I can share it with you and the rest of the family and make you as proud as you all make me, especially the ribbon winners among you. With love, Charles. P.S. Take heed. Your mother won't stay the number 2 baker in the family for long, and she'll make everyone in the family fat with fudge until she's reclaimed her crown. If they'd stopped there, we might be hailing them as gastronomic pioneers. Heck, I might have eaten a ribeye salad for dinner tonight. But I think they wanted more than food. What is that? Is that a plant Meat kebab? Oh my god. This poor rabbit. What did they do to its arm? There's like little hands here. It looks like an esophagus or something. This one has tentacles, like underwater. Look, it's 20 centimeters? I don't know. Hey Aqua, nice to see you. Okay, now we're in November. Audio log 10/30/42. Wait. October 30th, 1942? We may have hit a snag with the rabbit experiment off screen. Are you recording a log on the rabbit experiment? It's just a lover's spat, Sergi. They'll be back together in no time. The rabbit's new leg bit it, Charles. I warned you that this might happen if we didn't engineer both of the animals together that way. Olna was a little confused, that's all. Let Jack settle down for a couple days and I'm sure he'll take Olna back. After seeing how quickly Jack took to his new leg, I was more than happy to let this whole thing keep going. But is this necessarily the best thing for both of them? Olna can move around on their own, and so can Jack. They're not wholly dependent on one another. Maybe we could just let them stay friends. Just stay friends? We should really be focusing on our real work. Plus, this is starting to veer off both of our areas of expertise. Let's just call the experiment off for now. You want to call it off, Sergi? He's getting real worked up about this. Stacky, hello? He's getting like super angry. Well, maybe I should take your advice and engineer a new symbiote for Olna then. A new partner might solve Olna's problems. Well, we don't know what sort of effect that'll have on Jack, mentally speaking. Again, Charles, this is all very new to me. Everything we've been doing here has been new to me. Some new experimental organism, a novel discovery, some unexpected result. And it is exciting, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to have someone, reliable in all that chaos, who's a little exciting himself. And I'm glad that person has been you. Do they have a thing? I feel like they have a thing. Maybe we can keep the Jack and Olna experiment going. We can pick up the discussion in the morning if you prefer. Tape shut off, okay? Dear Great Uncle Anthony, I tried recreating your famous dry rub mix. Some of the ingredients were hard to come by, rationing and all that, but I think we managed to get a close approximation. We threw a little backyard barbecue for the neighborhood to taste test our first production batch of meat, and it was a resounding success. This whole experience has given me a newfound appreciation for the time I spent on your farm when I was younger. Dr. Petrov nearly fainted during the butchering process, leaving me to do it all on my own. He reminded me of the time you put Clarabelle chicken on my dinner plate. Please write back when you have the chance. I'm dying to hear how the rest of the family is doing. Your city slicker grandnephew, Charles. Blood trees? It'd be cool if they could modify the trees to grow human limbs for people in need of transplants. Something that grew human organs, that would be cool. If they don't have a thing, one of them still has a bone. Cactomes with that. Everything you've read so far is what I've had to scrape and scrounge to get from government files, so you've already read all the juicy stuff. The rest is the boys in blue mopping up. What in the heck are those? What are these? They're like pig feet and Hey, Foreign. Incident report. Narrative. On the above date, P.O. Daniels responded to a call about an escaped animal. Upon finding the loose cow, P.O. Daniels saw its mouth was covered in blood. Upon closer inspection, the grass cow was eating some kind of malformed rat stuck in the ground. After calling for backup, officers discovered a sizable acreage of buried, deformed animals. Mr. Keating became agitated, and in response, officers were forced to put him into submission. Mr. Petrov was taken into custody for questioning. For health and safety reasons, it was decided to humanely dispatch the animals before bringing Mr. Petrov and Mr. Fielding into custody. Memo from the Office of Redacted. As my JAG officer has previously claimed on my behalf, Dr. Sergei Petrov was awarded a government contract from General Redacted, who died at Redacted during Redacted, resulting in a transition period in which most of Petrov's work, of an already secretive nature, was done with little to no oversight, until my office was made aware of it. Unfortunately, my upcoming absolvement may result in many more officers lower along the chain of command being found at fault. Officers you do not want to bring to court during these desperate times. Oh. Considering the improbability of systemic failure within the U.S. Armed Forces, I suggest we propose the possibility that foreign agents were involved. Under the specific circumstances, Petrov was working as a contractor. A treason charge would take him outside of U.S. military jurisdiction and tried as a civilian. You're welcome, Redacted. Okay? To Redacted. Mr. Keating and I are currently in Fayette County Jail. I believe the police have set fire to most of our work. I tried to save as much of our work as possible, but please send copies of all the records I've sent so far to your offices. And if you have any internal copies of your correspondences, please send them as well. We've made remarkable progress in the last few months, and I believe if we act quickly, we can still reach our first production deadline. We live in a delicate world in a fragile time. This is not an era for radical new ideas. We just fought a long and hard war to establish the grand order of the world, for heaven's sake. I can't read anymore. And on American soil, a couple of dandy bookworms were playing God and feeding diseased meat to our children. I couldn't stand it. So I took a leaf from Mr. Petrov's playbook. I psychologically tore Mr. Keating apart and reformed and re-educated him as I saw fit. Oh, wait, something into you? In the dissociated state you're in, Mr. Keating, it gives you a sense of clarity, doesn't it? You can see what I see. Why didn't your family ever write you back? Why did your lover try to rescue his work instead of you? If you leave this prison tonight, where can you go? You know the answers, you know why you're here, you know why you need to sign this confession, why you need to stay behind bars. You left home and traveled across the country hoping you'd change into the sort of person your family would miss. But instead of doing something to make them proud, you decided to pursue what makes you happy, and you became a sick caricature of everything your parents hated about you in the first place. A mama's boy sticking his meat in the dirt hoping it'd grow. Sign the confession. If you leave this prison now, you'll undo all the work I've done for you. You'll fall back into bad habits and become the same person you were 3 years ago. And none of us want that, would you? No, I don't want to change back, Warden. Well, did his chin just fall off? I've made so much progress. Wait, what? It was hard fabricating the equipment necessary to continue Dr. Petrov's work, but you wouldn't believe how fruitful my experiments have become. And quite frankly, I like the persons I've become. Oh! Did he just split into a million pieces? It took me months to find you. You didn't answer when I called your name. From a distance, I almost couldn't recognize you. But I found you. I hope you're dreaming of me. Drinking from the brook. eating the fruit from your branches, huddling from the rain and sleet in your safe embrace. And someday, in a brief moment of lucidity, maybe you'll read this message and know I'm gone. You wanted us to change the world, and we did. Is that Sergei? Dr. Petrov? Starting with ourselves. I'll always remember you fondly. Love, Charles. That's, wow, that was a game. That was, Romancing Flesh. That was a story. Make way for evolution. Yep, I mean, that would be the perfect form of evolution, I think, right? Right? Not saying I would, you know, attempt that or anything, but yeah.